Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's conversation about resources. What I'd like to share today is 7 conversations that can help leaders be more effective, both with their talents in their team and with their own leader. Many times I get questions about, I know how to do what I do with my people, though how do I lead upwards? So what I want to do is cover the 7 conversations that go both directions. And then I want to showcase one application of it that I had with a real leader and what they came out with potential of 10 points for a score of 70 with your team members and 70 with my leader. So let's go down the team member side. We have the first theme is what? Is walking away knowing that your team members know exactly what they're accountable and responsible for and how what they do fits into the big picture. And not only that, that they can explain it to other people in very simple terms. The second conversation going down is that your talents know why they do is important. Not only do they know why they do is what they do is important, you also have priorities set and you agree that these are the top priorities for you and these are the top priorities for me. Very often we think people know why they do what they do is important and they don't really know why they do is important. So what happens here, it's a pretty easy, straightforward approach to align. Then the next one is around roles. It's really important that people have job descriptions. And not only have job descriptions, they also have a scope. And I would invite you to see my resource training on scope. You can find that in the list of resources. Then the fourth conversation is they know how they're performing. There shouldn't be any surprises and people should get information fairly soon. Not only you're sharing with them what's going well, and you're also sharing with them what they can do to be even better in the future. And then in terms of people's personal development, what I understand very often is when I mention personal development plans to people, they roll their eyes like, oh my gosh, not development plans again. And I think one of the reasons people raise their eyes about development plans is they're usually out of date, fairly meaningless, and they don't really ever get looked at. So I encourage at least twice a year, beginning of the cycle and mid-cycle, that we look to see how do you want to develop yourself. And I like the Center for Creative Leadership's 70-20-10 approach. What that says, if you think of it like an upside down triangle, is 70% of your development is on the current job you have today. How can we take that job and give you stretch assignments? Because we never get better at something in the comfort zone. So how do we take that job and give you a little bit more scope? Spice it up a bit. And then 20% of people's development comes from you as a leader coaching them and mentoring them. So part of that depends on you. And then 10% of people's development is what I call official stuff. That's going to a course, doing an online training, reading a journal, reading some magazines, or attending a TED Talk. That's the 10%. It's the smallest part of people's development. And then once people have personal development plans, it's easier for you as a leader to give them work that meets their need for development, instead of giving them work to be done as work to be done. And then the 6th conversation is you're talking to them for your benefit as a leader to hear, how is your leadership style? And do you have an action plan of things you need to maintain or things you need to improve as a leader with them? Now, they're not going to give you answers to this if they don't trust the reaction you're going to have. So this conversation, the 6th one on leadership, requires a lot of trust between leader and talent. And then 7, you're watching, you're hearing, you're listening, you hear things back from the organization about them. This is the opportunity for you to give them information, how they're interacting with the stakeholders. And you can let them know you're doing really well with these stakeholders, though these stakeholders, we may have some relationships we need to work on. And then score yourself 1 to 10 on each, potential 70 points. So I never had anybody with a 70. Now, on the other side, we have discussions with your leader. And that's the question. Are you aligned in terms of what you're accountable and responsible for? And can you explain that to other people in your team? And then same conversation. You've talked to your leader about why what you think you do is important. And you're also talking to your leader about priorities. And then another easy one is you have an updated job description. And you share that with members of your organization. And then the next one, again, for you with your leader, there should be no surprises. So is what's going well? How can you do even better? If there's negative actions, how are you going to mitigate them? And then the question is, do you have a personal development plan? And is it up to date? And are you getting coaching and mentoring from your leader? And do you also have some courses you're signed up for? And then have you asked and talked to your leader about how they view your leadership style? Potentially they're going down into skip level meetings to talk to your people about you in the middle and debriefing with you in a very nice, safe way, full of trust about your leadership style. And then again, to what extent do you have an action plan about anything you need to mitigate or improve? And then the seventh one, you've asked your leader how you appear to be interacting with your key stakeholders. And are there areas where you need to improve and strengthen relationships? Now, I worked with a leader recently, and they gave me permission to show their scorecard. And here it is. So in terms of talking to their team members, they scored a 40 out of 70. It's a fairly new leader, so been in the role about 6 months. And in terms of how they interact with their leader, they got a 41. So then my question is, well, you can't, improve everything all at once. You're going to do it slowly over time. Where would you like to work? And what they came up with, they said, well, I think it would be low-hanging fruit if I talk to my people about priorities and that we just held that conversation about why it is you do what you do and how it's important. And he said, I think I could get like an 8 there. Go for it. And then this leader said, wow, job description, scope. That's something we need to deal with because people have been working with old job descriptions and have actually complained about it. So he said, I think I could handle this one rather quickly and get up to a 7 or an 8. And then he agreed that he had not really followed through on personal development plans. It was a tick the box exercise. He looked at his people and said, by the way, do you have a personal development plan? And they said, yeah, I do. Oh, okay, good. Though he didn't go into the 70, 20, 10. And then the next thing, he said, I need to create a really safe space so I can ask them over the first 6 months of my role, how am I doing? So he said, maybe I'll take it one-on-one. And I said, that's fantastic. And then talking to his leader, he said, I don't have an updated job description from the last person. And the last person who was in the role, things changed a lot. And he said, I'm giving myself a 0 because I think it's there implicitly, though it's not there explicitly. So he said, I think I'm going to take that from a 0 to a 10 soon. And then he said, I think I'm guilty as charged that I don't have my own personal development plan with my leader, and I need to go do that. So on both sides, the opportunity is to hold summer conversations over time, keep revisiting them several times during the period, and you'll find that you have better interaction with your talents and with your leader. And thanks for listening to Resources on the Leader Like You platform. I look forward to hearing your questions, comments, discoveries, how this helps you. And remember, it's about being leader-like, successful by design, not by chance, through conscious responses instead of unconscious reactions.